Welcome back to the Six Man Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Dunn. On today's episode, I'm joined by Paul Wettemann. Paul is the Director of Basketball Administration at UConn. He's won 2 national championships there. It was great to talk to Paul to get some insight about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that goes into basketball and college basketball specifically. So it was great to get some of that insight. Before we get into the podcast, just wanted to remind everyone, if you could please follow on social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, at the Six Man Podcast. Continue to like, share, all that good stuff. I appreciate all the support so far. Let's get to the interview with Paul. All right, I'm here with Paul Wettemann. Paul, thanks for coming on the pod, man. I appreciate it.
Happy to be here, man. Let's do it.
Excited for it. So to start, I just want you to talk a little bit about like your beginnings in basketball, like what first made you get involved with the game.
Yeah, I grew up, watching and playing. I mean, I played a bunch in high school with friends, and grew up around it in my hometown. It was pretty big in our hometown, so just kind of always had it around me, and it was a lot of fun. So.
Did you grow up a UConn fan and like following and watching UConn games?
Yeah, definitely. That's I guess kind of cool thing about UConn here in Connecticut is we don't have, besides, one WNBA team, like we don't have any other professional sports. So, everyone is split up between like mostly Boston and New York for pro teams, but we're kind of like the pro team of Connecticut, which is pretty cool and definitely creates like a different environment at the games that you may not see, everywhere around the country for sure.
Yeah, especially with the success of like the women's and men's team. I'm sure it's like huge. It's almost like you said, it's like the pro team of Connecticut.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure that's super like full circle for you.
Yeah.
So like when it came time to decide where you were going to go to college, was it like an easy decision to go to UConn, or had you thought of going anywhere else? And if you did, would you have pursued, the basketball outlet at a different school if you had chosen to go there?
Yeah, I definitely knew I wanted to work in basketball. I applied to a handful of different schools. I mean, obviously, like for me, UConn felt like the one that would be the best fit. So when I got in there, it was a pretty easy choice for me to do it, to come up to Stores. So.
At what point did you know that you wanted to work in basketball like as a profession? Was it before college, or was it once you got there you kind of realized it?
Yeah, I would say like as I got older and got into high school, like I kind of started to like follow the team more closely and learn about the different positions on staff and working as a student and the different ways you could go with it. So probably sometime in high school I kind of knew that was what I wanted to do, and from there I was just trying to figure out how to get in once you get there.
So once you get to UConn, you're a manager on the men's basketball team. Talk a little bit about like what your day-to-day role and like some of like the bigger responsibilities that you have as a manager, because a lot of people don't really understand,
Sure.
what a manager's role is. So talk a little bit about your role.
Yeah. Being a manager, I think, more broadly, like prepares you for you could really prepare you for any job, because like the work ethic and time commitment and attention to detail that's required to be like a good manager, for any, respected program, is pretty intense. Like our student managers here now, like you're involved in practice every day. That's rebounding, passing, helping the coaches run drills. You might have a pad, you might be handing out waters, wiping sweat off the floor, um, taking stats. We're doing video. I mean, our guys do a lot of different stuff here. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like super involved, but it's like the best way if you like want to work if you want to work in sports or specifically basketball, like being a manager is like the best way to get your foot in the door. Most managers around the country are volunteer or paid very little, and you're kind of the payoff is like the experiences.
Yeah.
You get to travel with the team, and obviously there's gear and stuff like that, but just what you can learn, I think it sets you up for the next steps in your career if that's the way you want to go. So.
I had read online somewhere that like when you were a manager, you like organized games against other managers at other schools and stuff
Yeah,
when you're
yeah,
traveling. What
yeah.
was that experience like for you?
Yeah, we used to do that. We used to do that quite a bit. It was fun. I mean, we traveled around a lot. When I was a student manager at UConn, we were still like an old American athletic conference. So
Yeah.
like we were going all over the place. Like, There was a couple cities in Texas. We were going to Tulsa, Oklahoma, Wichita, New Orleans, Florida a couple times. Like we were all over the place. So it was pretty cool to see those different places. And obviously, the Big East too obviously is a whole nother level. But it was just cool to like it's a cool networking thing, like
Yeah.
it's I think for most people that are like into it and want to make it a profession, like those are more than just like, hey, let's play pickup game. Like it's like, you get there early, you tour the team's practice facility. After you guys play, you sit and talk for an hour and like kind of exchange ideas and stuff like that. And I think it's a cool thing. It's become a pretty big thing, it seems to me, as I've kind of followed it from afar now. Like it seems like the manager
Yeah.
games thing. I think they even like do something at the Final Four every year now for the manager games, which is really cool. So it's
Yeah.
like a
That's
cool
awesome.
networking opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, so you talked about like networking and stuff. Talk a little bit about like the importance of building relationships in basketball because it's a lot of like who you know and who you've made relationship with. So talk about like the importance of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, like that's like the key. That's like relationships are going to help you get your next job, like wherever it is, like it's truly like you said, it's who you know, not what you know. Like what you know can only get you so far.
Yeah.
Um, like there's a lot of people that like are really skilled and like have some really great like qualities that would work great with the program, but like they don't take the time to like reach out to people and meet people and build a connection, because it's two things, right? It's like having a connection with the coaches that are on your staff and like building an organic relationship with them, because they obviously have the biggest resource closest to you to help you find a place. But it's like when you're going on the road, like who are you, like do you pick one or two people off every team staff, like, hey, I relate to this person's story, or I want to hear more about this, and hey, let me grab them for 3 minutes during pregame warmups or before the guys get on the court, like trying to create little touch points, for yourself,
Yeah.
because, it truly is like, people, it's like you want to have like a really high level of trust with somebody when you hire somebody into your program. And like, if you have no connection or no like point of reference with them, like it can be really challenging. Like it can be hard for you to get hired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for me personally too, like, um, like I was supposed to go into grad school in like a grad manager position, with Kevin Ollie when he was head coach here, because he was the head coach when I was undergrad student manager. And obviously, less than 2 months before I graduated, like the whole staff got let go. So like I had been planning to go and then was kind of left like in no man's land of like, I don't know what's going to happen. And,
Yeah.
obviously Coach Hurley gets hired and I have no idea, where that's going to go. But thankfully I had a couple people in the athletic department, a couple people on the men's basketball staff that stayed around, or transitioned over with Coach Hurley when he first got here, who like put in a really good word for me, just like to give me a chance to go to grad school. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's like,
Yeah.
and that's like, those are even relationships outside of just the coaching staff, just like other people in the athletic department at the schools that you're working at, that people may be working at as a manager. Like those people can help you too in different ways. So like, I don't think I would be here now if I hadn't gotten that chance. I didn't have a couple people that vouched for me, to stay on. So,
Yeah, I that was really well said. I think that relationships are like obviously big in any profession, but especially in basketball when you're so
mhm.
dependent on like the head
Yeah.
coach and who the staff is. Because if, like you said, if they get canned, you might be going with them. Um, but especially when like you're not a former player or you're not like the son of a former player, it's even harder and even more important to build relationships and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
like what you said there. So you kind of mentioned like the GA thing, like after you graduated undergrad, was there any other like thoughts for you coming out of undergrad, like trying to pursue something somewhere else or like at the professional level or anything like that? Or did you always want to stay at UConn?
Yeah, I mean, I was really interested in staying at UConn at that time. I kind of felt like, I had like, I don't know, just like there was more I wanted to do here. Especially like my last 2 years as a as a manager, like the team was under 500 both years at the end of the season, which is like totally abnormal, like for a
Yeah.
place like this.
Yeah, for
My
sure.
my like when I came to UConn, I started the fall right after they won in 2014. So like going from that to then like where it ended, like I never really got like a taste of kind of that higher level of success at UConn. I really, really wanted to be a part of it. So, I was driven to stay for sure.
So now, in your role as a director of basketball ops, talk a little bit about that, like what your day to day looks like, and what some of like your larger responsibilities are.
Yeah, definitely. I would say like for the most part, like I'm kind of the point person on a lot of things that aren't on court basketball. Um, so like it's a variety, and it really does change seasonally too for me. And I guess it does in basketball. There's different seasons, whether it's preseason, in season, transfer portal, high school recruiting, all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I handle like a variety of things. Like team travel is a big part of my job, right? So like finding the best airlines, hotels for our team throughout the year. Tickets, marketing, compliance liaison, academics, bunch of different stuff that kind of all the behind the scenes stuff that goes into running the program. And have interestingly kind of had a chance to start getting involved in some of like the revenue sharing aspects that are totally brand new to college basketball this year. And that's like a whole nother that's like a whole nother world. There's going to be new positions created for that stuff, I'm sure, in the future, just because it's going to be such a big part of athletic departments.
Has you hear a lot about like transfer portal, NIL, all that stuff. Has
Mhm.
the transfer portal and NIL affected your job in any ways?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's changed the whole industry, the whole business of basketball at our level. Like as soon as the season ends, like it's a frenzy for like whatever it is, 6 or 8 weeks where everybody's jumping in, and then it's like all of April, all of May, sometimes even into June, you're doing recruiting visits after recruiting visit, like trying to just put a roster together for next year.
Yeah.
Whereas before the transfer portal was still a thing, but it wasn't like it is now where everyone can just kind of jump in and seems like for an unlimited amount of times.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's busier. The off season is not an off season. I don't know if that's even the right word for it anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's totally like, I mean, it's all consuming. Those couple months are some of the busiest months of the year because you're putting together a roster, which is like used to feel like it was almost done by this time of the year because you'd add your high school kids, maybe you get a grad transfer, one transfer,
Yeah.
one or two, but now a lot of rosters are totally turning over every spring.
So you mentioned like the opportunity of getting to stay on the staff when Coach Hurley came in.
Mhm.
Talk a little bit about like what it's like working with him, what he demands out of his whole staff, and kind of like obviously people could see like the basketball like X's and O's side of it like publicly, but what's it like just having him as like your boss?
Yeah. Coach Hurley, like having Coach Hurley as my boss this will be my 8th season working with him, is like the best thing that's ever happened to me. Um, he pushes he pushes everyone, players, coaches, managers, everyone in the building, like is pushed to the max. Like you get pushed to a place where, you're just a little bit uncomfortable, so like you can
Yeah.
so you can grow, it's like you're like pushing people past that point of comfortability. And he has a great way of like doing that, and then also on the other side being like super understanding, super helpful off court, off out of meetings, whatever. Like I think what people see on TV and his persona on TV and kind of how he's made out portrayed to be. I think a lot of people would be surprised like how he is just like kind of around the office. You know what I mean? Like I think
Yeah.
there's a whole nother side to him. He's a super generous person, super giving of his time. Um, does a lot of great, charitable things like around the state and with different organizations. Some of that stuff I'm involved in with him as I kind of like help him schedule out, his calendar throughout the year. But I mean, obviously, I think he's the best basketball coach in the country. I think
I
he's
agree.
really, really good at what he does. And I think there's a real method to how he goes about everything in the program, recruiting, building the staff, what film they show every day, pre or post practice, like everything is super calculated. And I just think it's an honor to work for him. Like he's gonna be he's gonna be in the Basketball Hall of Fame someday, right? So
Yeah.
like it's an honor just to be here with him every day, and he's done so much for me in my life and my career. So I'm super thankful for him for sure.
So obviously you got to be a part of those back-to-back national championship teams, which is super rare. So talk a little bit about your experience, like traveling the country with the team, like going through the tournament and going on that Final Four run. Like I remember seeing you on the bench on TV, watching the Final Four and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
just talk about like your experience there.
Yeah, definitely. It was kind of like I talked about a little while ago, like it was like something I always like dreamed of being a part of, given my like I guess personal connection to the school and to the program, like from growing up. Um, it was such an unbelievable experience seeing it come together. Like I truly feel like, I mean, there are a lot of people that will work in basketball for 30 or 40 years and will never touch the Final Four. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, um, so to have been able to do that twice, back to back in the dominant fashion that we did is like, it's still kind of surreal sometimes to think about it because when you're in it, it's like you're going a million miles a minute, like. There's so much to coordinate. There's so many things going on. There's all this extra media and meetings, and the players and coaches are getting pulled in all these different directions, and you're just trying to keep up with it and make sure like you have all your stuff on point.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. It was two very different teams. Like two very different teams in a lot of ways. Some unbelievable people. There's like people and players that like did so much and gave so much of themselves just to try and get to that point. Like we've had some great leaders, Andre Jackson, Adama Sanogo, Jordan Hawkins, Donovan Clingan, I'm Alex, obviously, who's still here, Tristan, Cam Spencer, Steph Castle. I mean, I could go on and on, but it's been incredible, like an incredible group of people. Like you look back,
Yeah.
I find myself now looking back even more on like the people, like how great the people were that you were with, and not even as
Yeah.
much like the highlights and the wins. But like, wow, like that was like an awesome team. You know what I mean? Like that was like
Yeah. Yeah.
some really good people to be around. So, but yeah, I mean, it was obviously like whatever you imagine it to be, it's that and more. You know what I mean? Like
Times a million, I'm sure.
it was
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, times a million. Like it was just so cool. And it was like, you're the whole world is watching, and it's like it's your chance to for our coaches and players to like do something that'll last forever. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was really cool, really cool.
Yeah, he definitely had some great teams. I remember I don't remember if it was the first or the second year, but like every game was like a 15-point game. Where you guys
Yeah,
kind of just
yeah.
blew through the tournament.
Yeah, both
Um,
both both years, man. It was crazy. Like the second our second year when we went back to back, we have um the record for largest point differential, like the largest margin
yeah.
of victory across 6 games, which is crazy. So
Yeah, you mentioned Andre Jackson. That's somebody that like I've kind of followed closely because he's also from upstate New York. Like he went to Albany
yeah.
Academy and stuff. So I remember him playing against like a school that's in our league.
Hmm.
And like he had thrown himself like a lob off the backboard from half court,
Yeah,
and like everybody around
yeah,
here was like freaking out about it.
yeah, yeah,
But so talk a little bit about like obviously in the moment you're super busy and stuff, but talk a little bit about like some of your future goals or plans that you may have in basketball.
yeah.
Um, do you have any feelings of wanting to pursue like the coaching side of it, or do you want to stay on like the professional back end side of it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've definitely, I think I've always seen myself, I guess, to use what you said, like I'm on the professional side of it. I think it's an expanding space. Like, I'm happy in my job. Like, I love my job. I love what I'm doing right now. Um,
Yeah,
like the newest position kind of on this side in most high major basketball programs, like the general manager position, right? Which is like super
yeah,
new, like in the last couple years. So like
yeah,
Tom Moore, who's a longtime Division I assistant coach. Uh, he was the head coach of Quinnipiac for 10 years. He just took that job now on our staff and transitioned over from his assistant coach to general manager. Um, I think that's a position that I would love to be in someday. Like it's different, it's new. I think that job is evolving, but definitely could see myself doing something like that in the future. So.
Last question I got for you, Paul. If you could
Mhm.
go back in time and give your younger self advice in terms of basketball, what would it be?
Um, I would just I don't know. I mean, I think I would just say like the work shows. Like I think like a lot of people, and this is maybe sounds counter to what I said earlier, but I think a lot of people try and talk their way into a relationship or a future job opportunity or something like that. And sometimes it comes off like the wrong way, to
Yeah,
people. Like I think there's a balance there for sure. But like I was always like a put your head down, be a star in your role type of a person. Like when I was trying to break into the business, and I think people respect that because there are so many people that are trying to cut the line,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like people are trying to cut the line and like go up to the coaches every day after practice and ask them a million questions, or like there's an NBA scout or somebody watching practice and like they have their ear for 30 minutes before practice starts and
yeah,
they're not like helping set up practice or do the other jobs, you know what I mean? So like I
yeah,
think that kind of stuff rubs people the wrong way. I've always been like, if you work hard and put your head down and like just try and no matter what the job is, big or small, like if you try and like perfect it and be the best at it, you're gonna keep getting more opportunities to do bigger and bigger jobs, and you're just gonna kind of like find yourself in the position you want to be in. You know what I mean? I think for me that's kind of my biggest thing. So
I love how you said like be a star in your role. That's like something
yeah,
I always preach,
yeah,
which I completely agree with. All right, Paul. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you coming on the pod.
happy to do it, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks again to Paul for coming on the pod today. Thank you to all the listeners for continuing to listen and support the show. Again, if you could please follow on social media at the Six Man Podcast. Continue to listen, to follow, rate, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We'll be back next week with another episode.